Well, hello there. It's been a little while, and last week, a lot of you probably saw I had posted a short video of when I was in St. Albans last summer, and it was just some of the video footage I had of the cathedral, which I have more of in this horizontal, longer format that YouTube still does, but they do seem to like the shorts, and I like the shorts too. It gives me a chance to just make something really quick, which I used to do, as y'all know, a lot of. I used to make just really like short, sort of landscape videos of places I visited before I showed my face on screen. But yeah, I posted that last week because I was going through all the footage from my trip, and I remembered why 6 months ago you just saw me fall off of. I started doing the beginning of my trip in Dublin, and I was going to just, show you all the things I saw on the epic trip, and then I just pooped out after a few weeks. It's a few things happened. It was that I did a video, just looked, the last one I did was the Cliffs of Moher. The last one I did of this like horizontal format was where I try to get a little bit more footage and more going on in the video than in the couple of minutes in a short. I had done the Cliffs of Moher because I got some beautiful shots. It was a beautiful, beautiful day. It was very windy. It was very blowy, but it was a gorgeous day. I was so lucky to have the views I had, so I had some beautiful footage. And I worked on that. That was an easy video to do, just to show off the beauty. And then I got kind of stuck. I was trying to figure out, that was my third day in the Republic of Ireland and staying in Dublin. That was the day trip I took. I had one more day in Dublin, and I think I was trying to figure out, should I show some of the just walking around I did on my fourth day in Dublin? I did a little tour of the place I stayed, the room I stayed in, and Trinity College. And I think when I started putting that together, there were some problems with it. I thought maybe I'll just show you guys Belfast. And then I have all this Belfast footage, and I'm like, I like to go along in mostly chronological order as much as I can, because I think it makes it more fun and interesting, so you can see like the journey of the trip. And it also, just for me, it's like reliving the trip. It's actually, this channel's 50% me just reliving the trips I've taken and enjoying the footage that I filmed while I was in the midst of it. So I kind of hit a wall of things weren't going to plan while I was doing the video, but also I did go back to work. I don't know if I shared that on this channel, that while I was on my trip, I did have a job, but it was like a casual job. I could sign up for shifts. I also run my side hustle. You guys know about that. I use that to help me pay for my trips. I had that as well. So I had work to do, but there's a whole thing about health insurance in this country. You all know it. I know it. I would prefer to work casual jobs at this point in my life and run my side business and just work that way. It works better for me, but the way that the health insurance works here is I decided to go back to the job I was doing last year before I knew I was going to go on my extended trip and would need to leave my job. Plus, that job is quite a stressful job, so it's not one that I really enjoy doing, but it provides the best health insurance I think that is available around here. And so I had reapplied for that job, and a couple of weeks after I got back from my trip, actually, I just started on the interview process again, because it's a multi-part interview process. And that, I think, combined, so I got back to the job that's full-time. I know, woe is me, I have to work full-time, but the job that takes up a lot of my energy and time, and that just kind of halted doing the videos. So since then, it feels like every time I, pick up my phone and start looking through the footage and say, well, I'll just do the tour of the Trinity College room. It wouldn't be a long video. It wouldn't be a whole lot of voiceover. I would just tell you, here's the room, here's the common room, here's the kitchen, that kind of stuff. It's a great option for people who are looking for affordable accommodation in the summer, the brief time that they have it open to the public. It really is a small window, but if you're there, like Dublin is so expensive, accommodation wise, that it's a really good option for people on a budget. So I do this. I've done this before. If you've been here a long time, you remember when I took the big trip in 2021 that I also quit my job for, and just wandered around the UK for a while. That I do get a little bit of a dip too after I come back from a trip, because I know it's going to be a while before I can go back, and I sort of abandon this channel and think, oh, I'm not going to, do anything else with this channel after this, because I can't show any good footage of traveling. I can't film anything right now that's British related because I'm in Florida. Sorry, it looks like this has become a bit of a rambly sort of personal diary about what I've been doing the past half a year or so. And if you're not interested in that, I'm not offended if you click off. I actually was going to talk about some books today. These are the books that I brought home with me from my trip last year. And one of the many things I meant to sit down and do when filming a video I have footage of some of the bookstores I went to, and I was gonna make like a shopping for books in the UK video. I do have a book channel that I talk about books on YouTube. It's very I do it kind of when I have time, usually when I'm sitting around on a vacation and I'm like, I wanna talk about books, and I'm, you see my bookshelf. Finally, I got a bookshelf in this new house that we moved into right before I went on my trip last year. So I've got my bookshelf here now, and it's a bit of a mess, but I do talk about books on my book channel. If you're interested in that, I can share with you the name of it, and you can go see it. But today I was going to talk about the books that I bought, and kind of go through that as a little bit of a fun look back at my trip. But again, I was supposed to do this, I thought I would do this like months ago, but I didn't. So yeah, it's just, if you'll give me a little second to indulge in so there might be someone in the UK right now. There probably is, because I've been asked when I was there and people asked where it was from. And I say Florida, because I feel like the United States is such a big place. And as someone who lived up in New England for many years, it's actually, people are very different throughout the country. People have very different cultural touch points. Like, they have different foods they eat, they have different ways of speaking, not just like the accent, because I don't have much of a Southern accent, though my relatives in New England would argue I have a Southern accent. We speak differently. I personally am like a slower type of person. I drive slower. I walk a little bit slower. I like a kind of slower pace. And Northerners here in the United States are faster. They speak quicker. They walk more quickly. They want things to go faster, and they stress me out when they do that. So that was one thing about living up north, is I had to learn to pick up the pace a little bit to try to manage that. But I always say when I'm in the UK visiting and someone asks where I'm from, I say I'm from Florida. And people multiple times have said, why would you come here? As if Florida is not the most perfect place in the world and paradise. So I know that there's people in the UK who are like, I dream of living in Florida. I visited multiple times and I wish I could move there. And if you know someone like that, I'm that in reverse. I'm always wishing I could move to the UK and live there. I just this week was looking at jobs in the UK. Not because I don't have visa sponsorship. I wouldn't be allowed to take that job. I have inquired with people before about a job at their business, or in some cases, cultural institutions like museums and stuff, because that's things I like to do. Historical sites, of course, would be the place I would most want to work. A National Trust, English Heritage. Historic Scotland would be a huge one of the big castles like Stirling or Edinburgh I would love to work at. I have inquired before, and no one has ever been able to. They only can offer the job to someone who's currently authorized to work in the UK. So I have tried, I have looked, I have hoped. And so when you are always wanting to be somewhere else, it can be, I think, tough to settle into this life that just, this is my life, where I have to stay and keep working and work in the system that we currently have, while hoping one day we get like a healthcare system that's more supportive of what I would like to do, which is work my own business, that kind of thing. So this has been all over the place. And if you're still here, I want to tell you about my books. So if I could, I would buy a suitcase full of books to go with my suitcase full of treats that I showed you all when I first got back. I would buy, I spot so many books when I'm in the UK that I have to leave behind. I cannot pick them up because I just can't carry them all with me. I can't fit them all into my suitcase. But these are the 4 that I brought with me. And I think I'll start with, so these 3 I got at my favorite bookstore in London that I always visit and I don't always buy from, but I was really in the mood for this kind of, it's like narrative nonfiction, just about, it's not even history, it's just about life in Britain. And I'll talk a little bit more about these, but I was really in the mood for nonfiction and picked those up. But the first one I'm going to talk about is this Ruth Jones book, because I made a video about it, I believe, a short video, because I got to Elgin to go see the cathedral ruins. So I got to Elgin and I noticed they had the Lidl and the Asda right next to the train station. And those are shops, both shops that I like, which is funny. Asda, where I got this, is owned by Walmart as far as I know. And I never go to Walmart here. I cannot stand that store. It is overwhelming and I can never find anything. But when I go to the UK, Asda is so fun because I just wander around and I see what all you have in your equivalent of our Walmart and always find good stuff. I actually noticed when I was grabbing this stack, because this has just been, I did read one of the books, but I haven't read Ruth Jones's book yet. And I keep meaning to. And when I got the stack and I was like, I've been meaning to make a video about this, I saw that the receipt was still in here. So I opened this up and it's got, let's see if you can see it. It's got this Asda receipt and I got potato scones because I wanted to have potato scones in my apartment in Inverness when I got back. And you don't see them everywhere in all the grocery stores. I looked actually in the Lidl and I didn't see potato scones. But then I got the book that's here and I got a child's toy, which was a gift for my boyfriend. It was a little Ninja Turtles thing that I saw and I thought he might like. So I pulled out the receipt and I was like, oh, look at the receipt and look what I found. I had been wondering where this ended up. I did the North Coast 500. I joined a coach tour and I wanted to get this sticker to commemorate it. I found it. I don't even remember where I got this. This was probably, this might have been at John O'Groats. There's a lot of shops there now, a lot of new shops at John O'Groats. So it probably was there. I also got a t-shirt. It doesn't say North Coast 500. It just says Scotland, but I found this. I've been wondering where this was. And I think I want to put this on my car because I had a Scottish flag on my car and now it's faded. So I think that's what I want to do with that. But I'm so excited I found that because I was taking the Asda receipt out of the book. But I was just wandering around Asda, checking it out. And I love Ruth Jones. I like Gavin and Stacey and all that. So I had thought I saw she was writing novels now, and I thought I love her comedy, I love her writing. So I think this would be a great book to read. And I think I started the first few pages of it because my train ended up getting delayed back out of, it got canceled and I had to wait. So I think I started it, and so far it was just really good. And then of course got busy and did not pick it up again and have not picked it up here, but this is definitely going to be to be read this year. And I think she has a couple more books. I imagine I will have to track those down. I don't actually even know. I'm sure they're available here in the US, but sometimes it's harder to get the UK fiction that's not well known to everyone, like Ken Follett and stuff. I have a Ken Follett I'm reading right now. That stuff gets over here and is published, but some of these things aren't always. So I'll have to look into that more. So that was just from essentially a Walmart, that book, but they do have some good books sometimes at Asda. So I went to, and they have the little bookmark in it, Daunt Books, which is my favorite bookstore in London. It's the first bookstore I ever went to when I went to London, though I went to one, not the one that's in Marylebone. This is the Marylebone one. It's beautiful. Let me see if I can find some of the footage, and I'll put it here of that bookshop in case you haven't seen it before. It's a great one. But yes, so this is Walking the Bones of Britain. This is the one I did read because I was really in the mood for it when I got home from my trip. He's just exploring like geology and the differences as he starts up at the Isle of Lewis at the northwest of Scotland. He starts there and he moves down kind of southeast and ends up in Essex, I believe it is. It's like Wallasey Island. Is Wallasey. I'm probably saying that wrong, so you guys can correct me. That's where he ends up, and he just, along the way, he's walking and talking about the different landscapes that are there and how old they are, and then kind of weaving that into how modern Britain is, like the modern life and how that's affected the people. And this was just such a lovely, comforting read, as for lack of a better thing to describe it as. I think I also just liked it because one of the things I love about Britain is the walking culture and just walking and exploring and meditating on the landscape. So this was really what I was looking for at the time, and I'm thrilled I found that. And I think this is one that would be a reread again and again because it's just, it brings me back there. Not that I've walked across all those areas, but he mentions places I've now been and places I would like to go see. And it's just, I love that kind of writing. I love those kinds of books, and the British authors do such a good job with that I will read most of them. This is England's Villages by Ben Robinson. He has a show, and it might be on the BBC, you guys will know, that I saw on the TV while I was over there, where he goes to villages and kind of looks at archaeology, because I believe he's an archaeologist. So here's the back blurb. Take a charming and an unexpected journey through the quirks of England's villages throughout the ages in the excellent company of Dr. Ben Robinson, expert archaeologist. Yes, so on the show, when he was visiting a village, he was like talking about kind of the archaeology, but he was also I remember him looking inside buildings and saying which features are from what era, and just all kinds of interesting investigations of these different villages and how they're unique and little, like they said on here, the quirks that you find. And when I saw the book in Daunt Books, I said, well, I loved the few episodes of the show I was able to catch, and so I want to read the book. And so I haven't read it yet, but again, this one will be, I'm sure this will be very comforting and enjoyable when I get to it. I actually loved that show so much that I sent it to 2 different friends of mine who are American and love those kind of shows. And I immediately said, you might be able to find it on YouTube over there. You should check it out, because I knew they would like it. And I hope they do. But I love those types of shows, and it was fun to find that on there. And then this last one, actually this one might be good for, to start soon. It's Across a Waking Land. So I almost said walking land. Across a Waking Land, but it is, let me turn this back around, 1,000-mile walk through a British spring. So clearly I was looking for sort of the walking and exploration books of the landscape, because that's what I love, but that's also where I was feeling. I was just doing a lot of that, just walking, seeing so much when I was there. And I was feeling that these books would help me recapture that, keep that feeling when I got home. And they do. I just haven't got to this one yet, but since this one's actually set in spring, that'll be interesting to read, and I can read it, this time of year. It is definitely spring here in Florida. It's gotten super hot now, and it's not too bad in the morning, but when you don't feel any kind of chill in the morning, the afternoon's going to be scorching hot, and it's only going to get hotter from here. So I think that's also what makes me long for Britain. Is I know that when it's winter where you guys are in Britain, that you're longing for warmth and the summer and everything. And that's how I feel when it gets to be summer here. So I just want it to be cooler. I want to be in Britain with a little bit of cloud cover and comfort so that I can go out for a walk, that kind of thing. But this one has a receipt in it too. Oh, this is the Daunt Books receipt. So that's just one they popped in there for that. So it's on Marylebone High Street. If you guys are in London, you should definitely check it out because it's great. So I don't know if I'm going to get back to editing the footage that I have from my previous trips, other than maybe a few shorts here and there. I'd love to sit down and just focus on that. If I had some time off from work, like vacation time, I would take a vacation and just go through all my old videos, and that would actually be a nice way to spend a week. So I don't know if I'll get to them. And as for future trips, we always talk about that. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. My idea is that it'll be about 5 years from now, unfortunately, when I would be able to get some time, because what'll happen is I'll say, oh, I could just do a 2 to 3 week trip. And that wouldn't take up too much of my time, and it wouldn't be as expensive as when I do these longer trips over a month, 2 months, that kind of thing. But you guys know what happens is, even though now I've seen so much of the UK, I've been to the northernmost point in mainland Britain, in Scotland, and I've now made it to Land's End down in Cornwall. I don't think that's actually the southernmost point. I think it's another one, but the same. I made it most of the way, around the country. I made it to Northern Ireland. I've been all over the place, but some places I still have not been are Canterbury and the county of Kent. I have only been to Wales for 2 day trips. So I can see spending weeks exploring Wales. There's plenty of stuff in Scotland I haven't seen yet. And I would go back to Glasgow and Edinburgh in a minute and do all the stuff that I love doing there again and again and again. When I look at jobs in the UK, one of the problem childs is I go to look at jobs in Glasgow, like at the Riverside Museum I love, but the Kelvin Grove is one of my favorite spots in the whole country. And I'm always like, do they need an American to work there? Would they like that? So I look there, but as you know, if I made a quick trip, it would be hard to narrow it down. I mean, I guess I could do it, but I would also say that the price, the high price of everything now. We're in a cost of living crisis here in the US too. So I know you guys are in the UK where everything is shot up. Everything is so expensive. I noticed that I was spending twice as much on accommodation as I had in some places before. I was really lucky, like I said, with Trinity College. That was kind of old type because of the being in a dorm and sharing. Like I had a room to myself, but sharing the bathroom and the kitchen and common room and all that. That kept it to more, 2018 prices when I was there before for a couple of trips, and it kept it kind of to those prices. But then when I was in Inverness, when I was in Glasgow, even Glasgow, I noticed prices have shot up. So traveling on a budget is harder than ever because my budget has had to increase, or I'll say like my budget doesn't go as far as it used to. So I have to spend so much more on accommodation, and I have to make choices about what I'm going to go visit. I still think day tours on the coaches weren't too bad and a good value for money, but yeah, some of the bed and breakfasts I stayed at were incredibly high priced, and they weren't that nice because I was trying to find something that was a little bit more affordable, and that was about the lowest you could go, and they weren't they weren't great. So I can only imagine if I wanted to actually have a nicer place to stay, what I would have to pay to do that. So I always am thinking about what I want to see in the future. One of the big things I want to see is Canterbury Cathedral and Canterbury. I want to see the South Coast. I want to go to see the Mary Rose ship that I keep meaning to go to. I've always wanted to see that, or I've wanted to see that for a long time, and to go there. I'm trying to think of anything else off the top of my head. I've never been to Cardiff. Be nice to go to Cardiff. I've never been to Durham Cathedral, and Durham looks like a beautiful city. There's so many places yet that I still haven't been, even though I'm very lucky that I've been to some wonderful places, but there's always more I could go to. So I'm just looking at the time on this, and this is gonna be a 30-minute video of me rambling on. So I imagine most people have checked out at this point. I probably would have, because it's kind of gone all over the place. But yes, for the future of my travels, I don't know when that will be. We can hope sooner rather than later, but it'll be a while. So unfortunately, I won't have a lot of new footage to show, but I could just get to the old footage and start editing that. And then that would at least give us something to do and think about and enjoy the stuff I have seen for the meantime. So maybe I'll get to that at some point. But let's end the video here. And I appreciate you watching. If you're still here, give me a thumbs up. And if you want kind of like the chaos of when I decide to post, give me a subscribe, say hi. And actually, why don't you tell me where you plan on going in the UK? Wherever you're from, what your next trip you have planned, where you want to go, what's the main place you want to see. If you live there, what's something you're looking forward to seeing soon that you've got on your list? I'd love to know. So leave that comment below, and I'll talk to you whenever. All right, bye.